Good morning. My name is Michael Turpey. I'm a Scottish Blue Badge tourist guide, and I am doing virtual walking tours of Edinburgh during lockdown. And here I am walking around the old town of Edinburgh, of course dominated by Edinburgh Castle, which you can actually see behind me here. And I'm going to explore a street which is called Johnston Terrace and give you some information about that. So at the bottom we're looking at Castle Terrace. If I swing around here, and this range of tenement buildings, and I can walk across the street quite easily just now because it's quite quiet because of lockdown, is on the corner of the Queen's Institute of Nursing. Now this building was designed by a railway engineer called James Gowans, and it's got some amazing crown design domes, if you can see them there in the distance. And if you come up here sometime, you might want to look in the corner because there's a beautiful small figure of a young Queen Victoria, which is quite unusual. She's usually portrayed in her later years. Now, Sir James Gowans was a great achiever. He was the son of a mason from Blackness, more to the western area of Edinburgh, and he designed or helped with the first tramway, one of the earlier tramway systems in Edinburgh as well. And he was an organiser of the exhibition in 1886 of industry, science and the arts, and for that achievement he was awarded his knighthood, Sir James Gowans. On Johnston Terrace. Now, as I'm walking up Johnston Terrace, just on my left hand side you can see the great buildings of Edinburgh Castle, and that more geometric oblong building is the Great Hall of Edinburgh Castle. It goes back to the 16th century, designed by James IV. Okay. People are enjoying themselves out today because the streets are so quiet. They can drive quite fast and have a bit of fun there. So it is sitting on a great volcanic rock there. Volcanic rock. Very hard, very steep, and there was volcanic activity here 340 million years ago, and that was seen as a major defensive position if you were going to have great power over the governing of Edinburgh. Now, and Scotland, because the kings and queens of Scotland resided there for a while. Now, Johnston Terrace, walking up, named after another high achiever like Gowans, called Sir William Johnston. He was a map maker, he was an engraver, he was Lord Provost of Edinburgh, he was Queen Victoria's engraver, hence he got his title of Sir. Sir William Johnston. And in the 1860s this was very much a place where they were trying to improve the accesses, especially the western access, which this is, to the old town of Edinburgh, as well as the southern access. So various architects and engineers were brought in, and Sir William Johnston was one of the great influencers of improvement in Edinburgh. He'd already had a hand in draining the Borough Loch, which is now the Meadows of Edinburgh, a great open space for people to enjoy, recreation area, as well as Queen's Drive, which goes around Arthur Seat, close to Holyrood Palace. So Sir William Johnston is who this great Johnston Terrace is named after. Normally it's absolutely busy. There's lots of coaches here for people visiting Edinburgh Castle, but of course just now it's we're kind of semi-locked down, so it's very quiet and empty. I'll swing you around. It's behind here is Edinburgh School of Art. Edinburgh School of Art architecture is in what we call the Beaux Arts style of architecture, kind of French style of architecture, quite elegant in red sandstone. School of Drawing was originated in the 18th century because we needed to have draftsmen and draftswomen to design products, because to help the economy, the trustees of the Board of Drawing were incorporated with the trustees of fisheries and manufacturers, just generally to work after the Act of Union with England and Scotland to improve manufacturing. and general wealth and well-being. So then it became more a place for fine art, producing many well-known artists, Edinburgh Art College, but perhaps one of the most famous people who wasn't an artist as such, but he was an actor, was Sean Connery. And he, the first James Bond on film, he was a life model at that very college, at that very art school. So, in art school, get nice views of the castle. So we're walking up here. See that? Still the kind of great hall. And some of the older parts of the castle, some of the bits that go back to about the 15th century are on this side, which is one of my favourite views of the castle, rather than the other side from the new town. It's quite stunning. The sun's coming out, making it even more stunning today. It's catching the light. And it had been an ancient site going back 3,000, even more years ago, when there was early Bronze Age peoples there. They found artefacts, they found Roman artefacts, and of course a big tall natural formation would be seen for all sorts of different celebrations, different sacred beliefs, as a popular gathering place to observe the midwinter setting sun, to observe the stars and so on. But what we can see just now, 15th century, you can see the curved wall, which is called the Half Moon Battery. That was put there in the 16th century as an added defence, so that you could have multiple angled cannon fire. Keep walking up here. Now, in this area, one of the original town walls, which was put in place by James II in the 15th century. So you can see that. I'm just going to turn you around. You can see the plaque on the wall there. About the 15th, 16th century, the population of Edinburgh wasn't very big. It's about 12,000, which was probably quite big for the time, but nothing like what it is today. It's about 500,000 people who reside in the city. You see that kind of flat wall with the little towers. That's the kind of border of the Esplanade, which is the Edinburgh Military Tattoo is held there. Usually kind of August, September every year, a great gathering of, colourful gathering of bagpipes and international acts from various countries, you name it. United States, New Zealand, Australia, Africa. But of course this year, because of our position, we're not actually having that event. So keep walking up here. Got a crowd of police coming behind me. I think they're just enjoying the sunshine today. So you might actually hear a conversation as we're continuing to walk up. Sun coming out. So that's where the tattoo, Edinburgh Military Tattoo, part of the Edinburgh Festival is held. And usually you'll see grandstands and seating areas, but if you go up there just now, get wonderful views of the city. This is one of the finest cities anywhere. Of course, I'm biased, born and brought up in Scotland, went to school in Edinburgh. In fact, the very school I went to, I'll show you in a minute. Just over the wall. It's quite far away, so see, you can see okay. And there it is, in the distance is George Heriot's school. The architecture of that goes back to the 17th century. It was founded by the goldsmith, King James VI, who was a very wealthy man, to support the poor featherless bairns. That is Old Scots for the poor children often children without parents who would be supported and are very much in need. So they would be able to go there free of charge. Now today it's a private school. The building is in the architecture of what's called Scottish Renaissance architecture. It's very Italian. It's quite an imposing building. You see the clock tower. It's not the original tower. The tower was more pointed and more European in a way, but then later on in the 19th century it was kind of curved off and made the way it is today. It's quite a stunning building, George Heriot's. That's where I actually went for a while to high school there, and it must have been feeling a bit like Harry Potter in this castle, this ancient building. Now if I turn this around slowly from George Heriot School, you see this big high tower spire, 240 feet to the top, 72 metres to the top there, and that is called the Hub today. Now the Hub is a gathering place. It's a place where you can hold events. You can buy tickets for the Edinburgh Festival. It's got restaurants and cafes and general gathering place. You can have a wedding there, birthday party, anniversary, special event. But it went through two different uses. The original purpose of the building was for the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland, who are the kind of people who ran the Presbyterian Church, the main Presbyterian Church here. And later on it became known as the Highland Toll Booth Church. It was the Gaelic-speaking church where you could go to hear services spoken in Gaelic, traditional language of Scotland. And well before there was that building there, as far back as the 14th century, there was what was a public weighing house, because Edinburgh being a great trading capital, you had to weigh products before they were sold to make sure that it was legal weight. So it was called at one point the Butter Tron, the building, and a tron was a weighing machine. So today it's known as the Hub, and it's in the the Gothic revival style of architecture, most stunning with its blackness, because the type of stone that naturally discolours to go that way. But Edinburgh at one point was known as Alderickie, with a lot of coal burning fires, and of course the steam trains so discovered some of the stone. A connection between the Hub and George Heriot School is that one of the architects was James Gillespie Graham, and he also had a hand in designing the chapel at George Heriot's in the 19th century. The other architect of that building called the Hub was Augustus Pugin, who was a well-known architect who had a hand in the design of the Palace of Westminster in London in the Greek Revival. So we're at the top of Johnston Terrace. Hope you enjoyed that little tour, and see you again hopefully in the future. Have a nice day. Thanks, bye.